Hello, all. I brought back a bad cold with me from Atlanta, Georgia last week. I hope my voice isn't too bad on the ears. I just didn't want to miss the show this week. I'm Marty with Warehouse and Operations as a Career, and let's go ahead and dig into today's topics. I want to talk about a little equipment in a few minutes, but like I mentioned, I was out of town last week for a large hiring event, so let's kind of start there. You know, I don't get to put on my recruiting cap very often. It's really a part of my job that I really do enjoy. Anyway, I want to again voice how I feel anyway. We should prepare for our interviews. You know, this event was really driven by Facebook, meaning there were not going to be any telephone interviews. That's one of the big advantages of a job fair for us as applicants. As I mentioned, this event was really going to be driven by Facebook. So ads were sent out to all of the job boards. Each one included the location, the dates and times, what the positions were, and they all listed the pay for each one of them. Phone numbers were included in case someone wanted a little more information, before we drove to the job fair. Most of the social media posts suggested filling out an online app before you actually came to the interview, and I think that was just really to save some time. Now, I get it. Some people like using Messenger or commenting on social media. It's important to realize, though, that the recruiters are hearing from hundreds of people. People are calling the phone line for more information. A ton of applicants actually applied online. There's honestly no time to type out and answer questions through Facebook. I even saw a couple of posts where people were getting upset that no one had gotten back with them in like 2 hours. Like I've said before, looking for work is really work itself. If we have all the information to make an informed decision on a position, it's us that has to go sell ourselves to the prospective employer. I assure you there are like 50 others that are going to do everything within their control to get in front of that hiring agent. I also saw a lot of replies that just said info. And I understand, what they're asking for, but everything the recruiter could have supplied was already in the advertisements. Here's a real quick story. All the ads mentioned that the job fair started at 8 a.m. I actually showed up about 6:45 to get some things set up, and there was a lady and a gentleman already at the door. I walked up to them, kind of greeted them and asked them if they were there for the job fair. The lady said, "You bet. I wanted to be the first one in line." The guy started laughing. He said that she was in the parking lot when he pulled up, and she got out of her car just to beat him through the door. To be honest, one of them was a little light on the experiences that were needed, but you know what? The recruiter hired them based solely on their initiative. I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, finding a job is difficult sometimes. Let's be sure we recognize it and put the work into it. It's not the recruiter's responsibility to try and run us down. It is their responsibility to give us a chance, but we'll need to get in front of them for them to be able to do that. And I guess that's all I really wanted to point out about job searches. So this week I was getting caught up on some end-of-the-year safety reporting, and I ran across an old supervisor's investigation article. A gentleman, I assume, had a warehouse utility position. His job did not require using any kind of electric-powered equipment at all, but he did have to use a manual pallet jack daily. Not very often, but a few times a day just to move pallets with some trash bins on them. His supervisor had noted that over the last 2 months, the employee had came to him and stated that he wanted to learn and be certified to operate an electric rider jack. The supervisor wrote that he explained he'd be happy to work with him when things slowed down, but right now there just wasn't any extra equipment that he could use during his shift anyway, but that he'd train him when he could. Well, the gentleman needed to move a pallet, and there was an electric jack in his way one day. He figured everyone was at lunch, no one was around to help him, and he saw that as an excellent opportunity to justify, him moving it himself. Now, he knew that he was not authorized to get on the jack, and he admitted that he had been told to never even touch a piece of powered equipment until, he'd been trained and certified to be on it. But the temptation was just too much, I guess. He mounted the platform of the unit and rolled the throttle bar forward to go only about 6 feet. We can all remember that feeling of losing our balance the first time that we leaned forward on the jack and gave that handle a little twist, right? Sure enough, he lost his balance, and since he was leaning forward already, his hand just twisted even further, giving the jack even more momentum. Well, he ran the jack into a barrier doorway, pinching his right hand between the handle and the concrete that was beside the door jamb. He was really lucky there wasn't any permanent damage, but he did bang his hand up pretty good. He was out of work for like 12 days. That's 12 days of lost wages. He had done something that was against the rules, and there wasn't no gray area here. He could have really hurt himself or hurt an innocent bystander. I guess this is where I can throw in my 29 CFR 1910.178 speech about never get on, operate, or even touch a piece of powered industrial equipment that you are not certified to be on. I applaud him for mentioning his desire to learn and operate the equipment. He was going about it and doing everything right, and his supervisor probably should have worked with him a little sooner. I think that as soups, we need to be upfront with our employees. If we are going to work with someone regarding equipment training, let's not leave them hanging. Maybe we should have set a date for training or been upfront and just told him no. Either way, the employee was in the wrong, and it nearly cost him dearly. Let's not ever be that employee. So we're in week 2 of 2019. Do you have your goals and plans written down on paper yet? I just finished mine this week. I am going to stick to the plan, and I am going to measure my progress every Friday morning. I've decided, based on my performance in 2018, that I'm going to set quarterly goals this year. Now, don't get me wrong, I did pretty good with last year's goals, but I figure only planning 13 weeks out at a time will give me more time for corrections to the plan if I need to swing off track for a week or two. I'd love to hear a little about your plans. If you'd like to share any of those goals with us, shoot me an email to host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com. And I hope you'll like our Facebook feed and follow us on Twitter using that little @ WHSEANDOPS. I hope my voice didn't mess up today's episode, and I appreciate you taking the time to visit with us here at WAOC. Until next week, treat others with respect, treat your equipment with respect, and share a safety thought with a coworker and a family member.